It's a national organization that's been pushing back on the TSA, the intrusive pat-downs, and the body scanners for quite some time now. They really did a lot to help us here in the city of Austin when we were pushing back on the threat of a body scanner coming to the Austin airport. So everybody give a round of applause for Michael Gobart.
I'm grateful to be part of a team that organized TSAtyranny.com to push back against the unlawful overstep of the Transportation and Security Administration. Our Fourth Amendment rights should not be stepped upon. The slogan of our site is "Where law ends, tyranny begins." Our corporate battle to defend our Fourth Amendment rights and the preservation of the sanctity of our bodies dates back far longer than 1787 or 1791 when the Fourth Amendment was ratified. We're gathered here today to urge the Texas legislature to hear our mind, because they are elected officials. They are our representatives. We're here to urge Governor Perry and the Senate, the body of legislators, to draw a line in the sand. And that has to be more than Texas rhetoric. That has to be something that takes manly fortitude to oppose tyrants standing above them. And that deserves your support and urging. George Washington was well aware of how politicians would be subject to political and financial benefit, or potentially being manipulated by those who would seek to govern them with those threats. And consequently, he stated this in 1787 to the Continental Congress: "If it please the people, we offer what we ourselves disapprove. How can we afterwards defend that work? How can we offer to the people what we ourselves would not be comfortable with? It is our duty to proclaim what is right and true. It is our liberty to defend our Fourth Amendment rights. They are inalienable rights, which means they cannot be taken or given away. That means that you do not have the liberty to trade the convenience of travel for the sanctity of your body. You're here because you believe in the sanctity of your body. You're here to defend your families, your wives, and your children. And we're here to remind the Senate and the legislature that they are our elected officials."
I was flying out of Dallas International Airport, and I was wearing a dress and opaque tights, and I know how to fly, no jewelry, nothing, just going through the metal detector. And the metal detector went off, and the guy asked me, the TSA agent asked me, he goes, "Ma'am, what bra are you wearing?" And I go, "Excuse me? Would you like to know if it's leopard or lace while you're at it? I mean, come on." And, he sets me aside, and I have the TSA agent come and, feel me down. She goes, "Ma'am, I need you to spread your legs." And I go, "Well, first of all, I have opaque tights on. Are you gonna, she's telling me what she's gonna do. They're gonna, take the backside of their hand and feel up around my vagina." What I went through was wrong. And nobody deserves to go through that. Nobody deserves to have their hands, or another person's hands, in my tights and feel around myself, to feel my vagina, to feel my breast, and then to swab me for bomb residue and make me wait 15 minutes behind a closed door where I'm shaking and hoping to God that nothing bad happens to me. And I'm shaking right now because I just get angry about it. Yeah. I get angry that people aren't upset about this. I get angry when I tell people about what I went through, that they say you had the option to drive. That's right. No, that is not an option. Respect the Fourth Amendment. Respect me. Respect humanity. And respect ethics, for God's sakes. Thank you.
Yeah! And they all say, "Well, you don't have the right to fly." That's hogwash! Yeah. We have a natural right to freely travel anywhere throughout these United States. To travel, that's right. We don't have to ask permission. And here's a quick note. There's many people that hold rallies here on the Capitol steps. The proper procedure is to get a permit. We didn't ask for a permit because we don't need no stinking permission to exercise our First Amendment rights. Permits? We don't need no stinking permits. Yeah.
Word came down that Obama and Big Sis Janet had simplified the application to become a TSA agent to just one question: do you have a degree in groping? Texans were understandably upset. It's bad enough that we're required to take off our shoes and take off our belts at the TSA checkpoints, but now they're asking us to take off our dignity, and they've crossed the line. The answer is not for federal agents to violate our Fourth Amendment right against unreasonable searches, especially ones of such a personal and invasive nature. I don't think Patrick Henry would say, "Give me liberty or give me a grope." Bob Schaefer asked Hillary Clinton a point-blank question: "Would you submit to one of these pat-downs?" She nervously laughed. "Not if I could avoid it. Who would?" Exactly, who would, Hillary?
Take it to the floor! Take it to the floor! Take it to the floor!
Hi everybody, I'm so glad to see so many faces out here today. It's great to rally in solidarity with everybody against the TSA and their violation of our bodies. I've been selected twice by TSA to go through the body scanner. And I'm ashamed to say that once I chose the pat-down. I was on my way to an interview with Jesse Ventura in Kansas City, and I was selected to go through the body scanner, and I, at that time, thought that they would just wand you down. I didn't know they hadn't started the touching yet. So I was surrounded by about 15 TSA agents when I said I don't feel comfortable going through this. And when they said they were going to touch my body, I said I didn't feel comfortable with that either. And after much discussion and being taunted by their supervisor, being told that the Fourth Amendment gives them the right to touch my body so I could fly, I ended up standing there while a very sweet woman touched me with the back of her hands and apologized the entire time. We were both taunted by the supervisor of the TSA as he laughed at me and ridiculed me for simply saying I didn't want to go through the body scanner.
Punch him in there.
About 6 months later, we flew out to California. I was a speaker at an event, and I stood there and I said, I am making a choice today that I will never again allow myself to be subjected to such disgusting abuses of power. In total irony, on our way home, as I was about 1 foot from the metal detector, a lady grabbed my arm and told me the computers had selected me and I needed to go through the body scanner.
I selected the computer.
At this point in time, I was only about 6 weeks pregnant. I didn't look it. And I stood there. John had already gone through. And I asked the people in line behind me, is someone going to stand up for me? I'm trying to go home. Will somebody please stand up and speak up for me? So after the head of TSA came in from home to talk to John and I, John had them agree that if they were going to touch my body, that he would be able to videotape it. And he asked one simple thing: don't put your hands in her pants, don't touch her vagina. And they said they couldn't do that.
What? You've been doing it.
So John and I decided right there, especially since I had just the day before stood up on stage and said I would no longer subject myself to these things. We turned around and walked out, and the movement rose enough money for us to take a train home. And the train didn't leave for 2 days, and we were on the train for 36 hours, and we slept without blankets on a train, miserable. But you know what? I wasn't violated that day, and I am proud to say that I will never be violated again. Woo! The airlines have to know that they will not get our business if they have TSA molesting people when they try to get on a plane. We must make sure that we are only buying tickets to airports that do not have body scanners. And one day, that won't be an option anymore. And that is why we need our Texas representatives to stand up and defend us from this sexual abuse.
They're gonna hear me, Rick Perry's gonna hear me, and the criminals in DC are gonna hear me, and the TSA is gonna hear me. And I was thinking last night about the absurdity that we have to come down here and do this in protest over something like literally groping and sexually molesting our children. 10 years ago, if I would have told you that we would have had to have a protest like this, you would have told me I was a crazy conspiracy theorist, I needed to be drugged and locked up, that I'm paranoid, and no, it's happening today. And here we are having to protest this. This is the absurdity of this police state. So Rick Perry, Will you side with Caligula or will you side with the people? Our daughters, our sons, our grannies can be physically accosted under the guise of national security. And all that means is national control. Security is another word for control. It is an illusion. There's no such thing as security, folks. We gotta be united on profiling. I happen to believe, and this is my personal opinion, that a lot of this is a problem to get a reaction to give us the solution of complete profiling of everybody. And it's not just gonna be Muslims. It's not just going to be the alleged terrorists. It's going to be everybody. There's going to be no fly list, there's going to be no work list, there's going to be no food list unless you have your little biometric passport, which they're discussing right now in the District of Criminals under the Obama administration. And Republicans, Democrats, they're all going for it. Hey, do you owe a little money? You can't fly, you can't rent, you can't buy. And that is what total profiling means. And right now they have a registered traveler program. If you want to submit to this biometric prison, you can sign up. You can go in, they can have your iris scan, your thumbprints, your full biometrics. Is that what we want this country to be?
Hell no! I do not consent.
So we've got this grievance today, life, liberty, and property. Get your hands off of it. The rest we will get to later. We will get to it all. So we will vote with our grievance, we will vote with our body, we will vote with our freedom, we will vote with our wallets, we will vote with the ballot box, and if necessary, we will vote with the bullet box. John F. Kennedy said, if you make peaceful revolutions impossible, you will make violent revolutions inevitable. Don't push us that far. Rick Perry, do you stand for freedom? Who will protect us against the protectors? Freedom can be messy. Freedom can be dangerous. There is no security. There's no guarantee. In fact, I heard Police Chief Art Acevedo, I have to check myself on that so I don't say ass invader in public. I heard him on KLBJ on the subject of having guns on our campuses to protect ourselves, and he literally said, what are the odds that you'll be shot on a campus? Do we really need guns on a campus? Well, Art Acevedo, Rick Perry, the Senate, the legislature, and Texas, what are the odds we're going to get blown up on an airplane? I will take my chances. There's no authority to put a no-fly zone over Texas. HB 1937 merely criminalized groping. We weren't trying to, at this time, and we will get to this, get rid of the scanners and get rid of the intrusiveness of going to the airport, which is property you paid for, whether it's through a subsidizing of the airlines or whether it's the paying for the facility. That's your facility. That's public property. You can film there and you have a right to travel literally unmolested. But that's all we ask for. Don't grope our daughters, our mothers, and our grandmothers. Is that too much to ask, Rick Perry? No! First they come for your underwear, and then they come for the rest. So Rick Perry, do you hear us? Include HB 1937, SB 29, HB 41. Bring it to the floor!
Bring it to the floor! Bring it to the floor! Bring it to the floor! Bring it to the floor!
We draw the line in the sand here. We say in all serious, don't mess with Texas. Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to go to the airport. They have a scanner. So let's print out copies of the Fourth Amendment and the state law in California of sexual assault. And we learned, as we all too often learned, that unfortunately it is just a piece of paper just written down. It's up to every single one of us to give the meaning to those words. We have the right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures, because if we don't, the politicians sure as heck aren't going to take it seriously. The bureaucrats sure as heck that they're not going to take it seriously. They take a paycheck from that, and they get their paycheck, and they don't want things to be disturbed. Let these people know that if they don't stand up for the Constitution, then we're going to boot their butts out of office.